I've talked a lot about how ugly hashtags are, but how do you get found on Twitter without using hashtags? What's up everyone, it's Ashney. Today we are going to talk about how you can be discovered or seen on Twitter without using hashtags. So for a lot of you, you've probably already started on Twitter and you have created some tweets yourself, and the ones that you don't use hashtags on get little to no engagement, whereas the ones that you do use hashtags on get a decent amount of engagement. And so in your mind, you feel like the only way for your tweets to be seen is for you to make sure that you're using hashtags. But if you look through my account or other accounts within my space, you can actually see that there is a lot of engagement, a lot of retweets, comments, and likes, and we rarely, if ever, use hashtags. And so this is completely possible, but it's not possible if you follow the same thought processes as the people who are telling you that you need to use follow for follow strategies, I follow back, or use apps or bots to try and grow your follower count. So your first step in being found on Twitter and getting those followers that you really want, I talked about in this video, where you need to make sure that your account is set up to be an account that someone would follow whenever they do find you on the platform. And then I also talked about the content that you need to be creating to be discovered, to be shared, to make sure that you're putting yourself in front of people. I talked about that in this video. So in this video, what I want to do is take you through the maintenance process. After you have set up your account and it is reputable and has authority and someone will follow it, and after you've started creating really great content, what's a really great maintenance routine that you can use to be seen without using hashtags? So I'm going to take you through my daily Twitter routine that helps me generate millions of impressions on Twitter each month. So the first place that we're going to start is in my bedroom, because that is where a lot of you are starting your day on social media. You wake up in the morning, you're super comfy, you're in the bed that either has or doesn't have a headboard, and one of your first thoughts is, I can't wait to check social media. And so what you do is you start to scroll and scroll and scroll. I do not recommend that anyone starts their day with social, because the problem with starting your day with social media is that you immediately fill your mind with the thoughts, opinions, beliefs of other people, as opposed to prioritizing yourself and what you're gonna do with your own day. Not to mention, the morning time is actually your prime creativity time for your brain. Your creative energy is finite and it's highest in the morning, so you want to take advantage of that as much as possible and not just be scrolling through social media, wasting that energy on something that's not ultimately serving you. So I spend the first few hours of my day exercising, meditating, and making sure that I am focusing on the things that are going to be serving me. Then around noon, I come to my office. Then I will sit down at my desk and I will start responding to tweets on Twitter. The reason that I wait until noon and I don't post in the mornings is because it is very early on the West Coast whenever my time zone, the Central Time Zone, is starting to become more active. And I really want to make sure that my tweets get in front of people whenever they're all awake. So we don't want to be posting when anyone is asleep, and that's why I generally wait until noon Central Time. This might change if your time zone is different, so just take into consideration that you don't really want to be posting things until people are awake and active. So the first thing that we're going to do is start responding to tweets that we see on our own timeline. The reason we want to do that is because we don't just want to put a tweet out into the world without kind of waking up the algorithm first. We want people to know that we're awake, know that we're alive, and then once that tweet gets put out, that will mean that we have a little bit more traction if we hadn't been responding to tweets before that. So we're going to take some time now and respond to some people. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to post our own tweet, but we're not going to use hashtags. We're going to rely on the relationships that we've been forming with other people on Twitter. Okay, now I've got my tweet posted. I know this looks kind of ugly for y'all because I'm literally filming my computer, but there it is. Tweet is up. Now we're gonna respond to comments for a little bit just to give us an additional boost. The reason that you want to be responding to the comments on your tweet is because when two people have a conversation on Twitter, that conversation is shown to a portion of each person's audience. So person number one is showing that conversation with person number two to a portion of their audience, and person number two is having that conversation with person number one shown to a portion of their audience. This means that both people get put in front of new eyeballs, which means that you are more likely to grow your followers. Now, it's super easy to get carried away doing this, especially if you're someone that tends to get a lot of responses. It's easy to just spend all day on Twitter responding to every single person who's trying to talk to you. I don't personally find that spending more than 5 to 10 minutes responding to comments is a great way of spending my time. There are more platforms, more content to make, and growing those relationships is really important, so you want to leave some time for it, but by no means do you want to be a freaking no-lifer to Twitter. You still have other things you need to do. However, if you are trying to grow your account because you only have a couple hundred followers, you should be responding to every single comment that you get. The more that you can respond to every single person, the more you're going to be putting yourself in front of all of these different audiences, which is where you're going to get a lot of that follower growth. This essentially does the same thing as using hashtags, but you don't have to clutter your tweet with a bunch of ugly blue links that nobody pays attention to. Okay, so we've spent, oh, hello camera. We've spent a little bit of time responding. Now we're just gonna go and work on other things for the rest of the day. Now, believe it or not, y'all, that is it. That is all you have to do every single day to grow a Twitter account that gets a ton of engagement and helps you grow your followers. But there is still some stuff that you need to know about this process. If you have trouble coming up with ideas for tweets, make sure that you check out this video. Also, what you're gonna notice is as you start to spend more time on Twitter and start thinking about tweeting more, tweets are just gonna pop up into your head randomly. So what I want you to do when that happens, pull out your phone, type up that tweet, click back on your phone, and save it as a draft. I've got a draft list of hundreds of tweets that I can send out if I don't have inspiration to tweet something that day. You also need to set limits for yourself so you don't go over or under a good activity level for Twitter. It's really easy to spend all of your time on the platform, and it's also easy to totally forget about it for a week or 2 weeks, in which case you will lose a lot of your traction and your authority in the algorithm, and your stuff isn't going to be pushed to as many people as it used to be whenever you were more active. And so what you want to do is just make sure that you are setting a manageable time expectation for yourself. No more than 20 or 30 minutes a day is more than enough to suffice you growing an account that's going to get a lot of engagement and a lot of attention. When it comes to how many tweets you should be making per day, there are really two different schools of thought on this. The older, like, entrepreneurial mind is going to tell you you need to be tweeting multiple times a day because the more you tweet, the more chances it's going to be seen. My camp is that you tweet once per day, but you make sure that that tweet is really, really great. It's going to get great engagement. It's going to have a lot of comments, a lot of retweets, and a lot of likes on it, because what you want to do is you want someone who is curious about you to come to your profile, scroll through the feed of the tweets that you've made, be able to see your tweets, not just a bunch of retweets of somebody else, and see that there's really great engagement on every single one. If they come to your Twitter account, they look at your feed and they see that you've posted the same thing 4 or 5 times, their respect and interest level in your account is gonna go away because they know that they're just gonna get spammed. Another reason you only wanna post once per day is because you want people to think that you are awesome. So if you only post once, but you're responding to every comment, it's getting a lot of engagement, you get a lot of retweets and a lot of likes, someone that is new to your profile is going to come to your profile, scroll through your feed, see tons of engagement, and think, wow, that person really has useful things to say, and a lot of people like them, so I should follow them too. Now, as you can see, it's been about 24 hours on this tweet. We've got 365 retweets and 473 likes and about 350 comments on it. I could scroll forever and ever and ever and ever and ever on this thing. Now, this is a giveaway tweet. So the thing here is it's going to have a lot more engagement than typical tweets that I do that I'm just kind of throwing my beliefs out there. But this is still a really good example of how you could use a schedule throughout your day that is going to help you create tweets, be found on Twitter, and grow your followers. When it comes down to it, social media is really about being social, y'all. You cannot trick yourself into having an active following, use bots or follow for follow or I follow back or all of these like scummy things a lot of people are trying to tell you to do. It just doesn't work that way. You might see an initial follower bump, but then they're all gonna fall off anyways. So what's the point in you wasting your time? Just do the work that you're supposed to do anyways. You're gonna grow an active following. It doesn't take rocket science to be able to have an account that gets a lot of engagement on Twitter. Speaking of, in order to do that, you need to make sure that you have good tweets and you know what to post that is going to get engagement. So check out this video where I talk all about that. I will see you all over there. Bye!